What is up, guys? Buzzkirk here at ThinkComputers, and today we're checking out the AORUS Z370 Ultra Gaming Motherboard, which pretty much sits in the middle of the AORUS Z370 line. So let's go ahead and take a look. AORUS has gone with an all-black PCB with black accents, and with AORUS, that of course is pretty normal these days, just for the fact that all of their boards are loaded with RGB LEDs, which we'll of course show you a little bit later in this video. But one thing that I did like is the huge AORUS logo that kind of extends across most of the motherboard. Starting things off with the CPU socket, we have Intel's LGA 1151 socket, but of course it is the new one that supports Intel's 8th generation Coffee Lake processors. From the looks of it, we have a 7-phase power design, and we can see the 8-pin EPS connector right at the top left. All of your power delivery components are covered by 2 large heat sinks. Moving over from the CPU socket, we have 4 DDR4 DIMM slots. These slots support DDR4 memory up to 4000 megahertz. Each slot is metal reinforced and also includes RGB LED lighting. As we come over to the edge of the board, we find an RGB LED header, 4-pin fan header, 24-pin ATX power connection, internal USB 3.1 header, and a USB 3.0 header. You'll also notice an acrylic overlay that will light up with RGB lighting, and Gigabyte does provide the files so you can 3D print your own customized overlay if you want to. As we come down the board, you'll find a Thunderbolt header and 4 SATA 6GB ports, which are set at a 90-degree angle. At the bottom of the board is where you're going to find the rest of your headers and connections. So from left to right, you have your HD audio headers, RGB LED header, TPM header, 2 USB 2.0 headers, 2 4-pin fan headers, your front panel headers, and 2 more SATA 6GB ports. The audio solution on this board is Gigabyte's latest amp up audio. It's on its own PCB layer, completely isolated from the rest of the components on the motherboard, and it features the ALC 1220 120 dB SNR HD audio with a smart headphone amp. When it comes to expansion slots on the board, you have 3 PCI Express 3.0 x16 slots and 3 PCI Express 3.0 x1 slots. The top 2 x16 slots do have Gigabyte's ultra durable PCI Express armor, which is a one-piece stainless steel design. Both of these top slots also feature RGB LED lighting. The top slot will run at x16 speeds with a single card installed, but if you install 2 cards, they'll both run at x8 speeds. In between the top 2 PCI Express slots, you'll have 2 M.2 slots. These are both PCI Express 3.0 x4 slots. The top slot supports a longer 110mm M.2 drive, while the bottom one supports the normal 80mm M.2 drive. Finally, we come to the rear I/O, which is covered. So from right to left, we have a combination PS2 port, 2 USB 2.0 ports, which are your DAC up 2 ports, DVI, 2 USB 3.1 ports. You have a Type A and a Type C, 2 USB 3.0 ports, HDMI, 2 more USB 2.0 ports, Ethernet, and your audio connections. When you first power on your system, you'll notice that multiple lights on the motherboard light up. There are lights around the CPU socket, on the memory slots, along the far edge of the motherboard, on the AORUS logo on the PCH heatsink, on the top 2 PCI Express slots, and by the audio solution. All of these lights are RGB and can be controlled with Gigabyte's RGB Fusion software, which happens to be one of the better RGB control software packages out there. At the end of the day, this board brings with it many great features that gamers and enthusiasts will enjoy. And especially with all of those RGB LEDs, it's going to look great inside your build. Right now, it's selling for about $165 on Amazon, which really doesn't break the bank either. all of a link below where you can pick up the board, as well as our link to the full written review, which has performance testing and all of that fun stuff. If you have any questions about this board, go ahead and leave it in the comment section below. And if you enjoy our tech content, go ahead and subscribe. Until next time, catch you guys later.